one participant can share at a time, so I don't think we're going to have any trolls joining us, so it should be.
Yeah, it's okay now, I think.
Okay. Now, Melike, I think am I pronouncing your name sort of correctly?
Yes, Melike.
Melike. So, on the list there would be Nitzan Cohen as the one to go first, but I can't see him in the list of participants. So, since you're the second one on the list, Melike, can I invite you to present your paper?
Yes, okay. We can begin. Canberk will begin, in fact. And I am sharing our presentation. Canberk.
We are seeing it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation entitled Experiencing FabLab Without Boundaries, an online tool for makers community. With Melike, we are both from Izmir Institute of Technology and FabLab ISTEC also. We can begin right now. Melike, continue. Yes, first of all, I would like to explain our intent about this research. We consider FabLabs more than a physical place that provides some technical tools and equipments. We consider FabLabs the third place, gathering point, meeting hub for a maker community in order to make peer production activities and participatory practices. But through digitalization and digital transformation, FabLab and the experience of FabLab constantly being changed. So through this transition from analog to digital and physical to virtual environments, the adaptation is very hard to follow. And we detected that there is a lack of appropriate online platform that represents the fundamental experience of FabLab, as all we can relate that, especially in COVID-19 periods, we couldn't be able to experience FabLab properly. So we want to define, first of all, the fundamental aspects and the critical principles in order to make to the point design briefs for this online tool. We can continue. As a methodology, we follow 4 steps. First of all, we expose FabLabs through 3 calls, co-creation, collaboration, and co-learning. Through the gathering from this exposition, we make a critical analysis of related concepts to gather more principle-related inspirations. Then we generated our 7 principles, both for the online tool, and we can just relate them to the exact FabLab ecosystem and the atmosphere. And for reaching more tangible statements and reaching more real-life reflections, we evaluated some selected online platforms through the vision of our 7 principles. We will detailedly explain these processes. As far as FabLabs as a gathering point, as a third place, as a sorting area, we wanted to generate the common activities in FabLabs. So because of being collective, because of being cooperative action, FabLabs can be considered as the centers of 3 calls, which are co-learning, collaboration, and co-creation, which directly links with the commons concept. We can continue. Then we make a critical analysis. As far as FabLab is a stance against the conventional ideation about the standardized production culture, we make a critical analysis about the related concepts, because as far as it's a very unique and genuine approach, our principles must be genuine again. And we looked for the human-computer interaction, usability, UI, UX, culture of inclusion, participatory design, co-creation, collaboration, co-learning, and open source design concepts. And we highlighted some pros and cons we just highlighted overspoken, devaluated concepts negatively because the value of they represent is very shallow. So we wanted to expose these principles critically and generate our ideation through more unique perspective. Then we created our 7 principles, especially unlikely to other related concepts. We make an hierarchical arrangement among these principles because in theoretical, it's not a problem, but when we come to the application real life, without being a hierarchy, we couldn't relate the principles among these concepts. So we make an arrangement between them. As a primary and one of the most crucial principle, pronesis. Pronesis is one of the Aristotle's virtues, like the techne and episteme, but more than techne and episteme, it supports the practical wisdom regarding praxis. It supports the learning by doing, and pronesis is a stance against authority. It promotes the knowledge agreed among community, not accepted through the accepted knowledge. It's just relates to the commons ideation. Then through pronesis, we can just make speculations and create fictitious futures. Then when we come to the commons, as far as we said that the people maker community who shared some common values, Fab Labs functions as a commoning agency, as a sorting area, and enables the commons-based peer production. So the community integration is very crucial for us. For online tool, we have to consider this principle very strictly again. When we talk about the distribution, we mean that distribution of all assets, tangible and intangible, and the outcomes of the practices in Fab Lab. Just like the results of the forking or RepRap or open design, Fab Lab shares its resources and the outcomes very democratically and freely. And also these online tools must be function as a linking and meeting up that connects the knobs and the another networks among the other participants in the network. When we come to the entropy, entropy represents a very critical point of view. Unlike the conventional production culture, which promotes the efficiency as a final result, the experience of Fab Lab just promotes the casuality. The result is more casual and process-oriented, not result-oriented. So through entropy, we can provide more trial and error proven results. So the sustainability of these results can be reached through the experimentation and directly fits with the spirit of Fab Lab. And Melike will continue from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, Canberk. I will continue with our other 3 principles: emancipation, hedonia, and reciprocity. Emancipation means liberation, but it's not a static word. It indicates constant becoming of the community. We related it with the concept of imperfection, which is a desired value in the digital age. Hedonia means enjoyable experience. Hedonic satisfaction is a common keyword in the Fab Lab and Maker literature. It's pleasure coming from experimenting through making, sharing, and pleasure of knowledge and creativity. Last principle is reciprocity. It's crucial for ensuring the inviting, democratic, and non-hierarchical Fab Lab experience. Enabling different voices for co-creation and making social cohesion is dependent on reciprocity. Now we explained our 7 principles, and then we want to show you how they work for the existing online platforms. Well, we first conduct a broad search for online platforms and then define 7 functional categories that we can relate with a potential online tool for Fab Lab. You can see these categories in here. Then we reviewed related literature for these categories and selected one existing platform for each category. While we were deciding on these selected platforms, we ensured that the platform was capable of representing its category And also familiarity to us was important for the evaluation. We selected diverse platforms, and it was a bit complicated to show them together in an evaluation. So we decided to use a visual tool, and we selected Harris Profile. Harris Profile is a visual tool. It's a simple and practical decision method. It's used when you need to choose the best among 3 or more concepts or ideas. It's very practical. You do not calculate any score. You give your points using green or red colors, and you literally see the results in the visual board. We didn't need to compare the platforms or choose the best one, but we realized that hierarchy between our principles was compatible with Harris Profile. So we listed the principles in order of importance from top to bottom, and then we placed the platforms and we voted. It's important in Harris Profile when you give -2 or +2, you color 2 boxes together, red or green. In this study, we selected popular platforms and successful examples of their categories. So negative votes in the evaluations generally indicate irrelevance or lack compared to other platforms, not a failure indeed. Now we can continue with some explanations for the table. For our primary principle, Pronesis, you can see that GitHub gets the highest ranking. GitHub covers the dynamics of Pronesis, we think, because it offers free intervention by forking. It is the best representative of Pronesis. And second principle is Commons. Commons is taken as a requirement for creating a united community for the same targets. So Stack Overflow, Discord, and Fab Network fulfill this principle. And for distribution, Udemy and GitHub get the highest scores. It's not surprising because they are both aimed at organizing distributed learning and distributed development models. But when we come to the entropy, all platforms except Discord and SolarTimes received negative votes. Negative votes because entropy is related with inefficiency and it stands against result-oriented approaches, result-oriented practices. So we wanted to highlight SolarTimes as a social networking platform because it allows a random circulation and it succeeds in creating a sense of timelessness. And for emancipation, Fab Network gets the highest ranking because the community of Fab Network really embraces imperfection and has a great potential by having diverse identities. Lastly, for the hedonia and reciprocity principles, we can say that most of the platforms more or less perform well. Stack Overflow was chosen. I am finishing. Stack Overflow was chosen best for reciprocity with its extra effort to gamification and interaction. As a result, in this study, we examined 3 codes: collaboration, co-creation, and co-learning for Fab Lab. Then we determined 7 unique principles to sustain an online community. And finally, principles were exemplified on selected online platforms. And for further studies, co-developing this online tool for Fab Lab community can be considered. And also the physical and virtual experience of Fab Lab and reciprocal impacts of these experiences can be a research case. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you for your presentation. We have very little time for questions, but I can take one question from the audience, please.
I think Andrew has a question from chat. Actually,
yeah, I can frame it as a question. Thank you for your presentation and for your research. I would be interested to see it applied to other platforms, in particular Wikifactory. I'm wondering whether we might be able to connect because we've done an analysis of some of the functions of about 70 different platforms, but we didn't think of it from the sort of perspective, the angles that you were thinking about. Are you able to extend this methodology to other platforms is my key question.
Melike?
Thank you for your contribution. Yes, couldn't get the question, in fact, but you.
I guess Andrew proposed that we can also analyze the Wikifactor through our methodology and add to our research, because it's very extended platform that represents the needs for hardware.
Yes, it's possible, and I think it's exciting to extend, or we choose the platforms that familiarity, we thought about the familiarity to us, and these contributions are, I think, very valuable for us. Yes, it's possible, I think.
Actually, we want to make more ethnographic research to include more users of these platforms and their insights. As far as at this point, it's just our insights and two researchers' point of view, but for further studies, we can make more phenomenological aspects at more denser insight, getting more denser insights.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew, for that question. Looking into the list of attendees, Nitzan Cohen, are you there? Because I had email conversations. Yes, I see you, indeed.
Sorry, Peter. Apologies for the slight technical delay.
That's just fine. We're all sort of improvising as we go along. Thank you, Nitzan, for being here. Would you be ready to briefly present your research here?
Yes, I will.
I think you should be able to share your screen, and you'll have 10 minutes. And as the colleagues just noticed, at the last minute will be, I will add a sound effect to remind you to wind up.
Sorry. I'm having some sort of trouble to share. But maybe somebody else could go ahead, and I have another problem here. Apologies.
All right, these things happen. Do we have then Claudia Morea in the room? Yes, I doesn't seem to see her in the list of attendees. I know that Adriana Cabera will join us later, as she's starting up the CARE challenge. I know that Vanessa, who is supposed to be in the panel, is traveling at the moment and will join us later. So I'm wondering if there is someone.
I do see Vanessa, or someone using Vanessa's username in the person.
Right, but I'd like to ask if there is someone to talk us through the Al-Aqsa case study.
Cindy, hi Peter, I am Vanessa here. How are you, everyone? I am on my way. Maybe in 20 minutes is better for me. Thank you very much.
That
That's fine.
No problem.
Yeah, we are here. This is Dawood. We are from FabLab Al-Aqsa case study. We can start it.
Hi, Dawood. Yes, please.
Yeah. Hello.
Nice to have you.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much. Let me just give me a second while I share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm trying to make it full screen. Okay. So hello, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to present our research paper in here. I just want to mention something that I really was planning for this conference to be there in Canada, but we all know that the pandemic changed all of our plans. So let's hope that next year is going to be better and we will be all able to attend the conference and see each other in person. But this is a good opportunity too. So our study case is entitled by the effect of the long-term plan for Fab Labs performance and sustainability. And so Fab Lab Al Ahsa case study. So we are four, we have authors who worked on this research paper, but today it will be two of us to present this presentation to you. Mr. Ahmed Al-Haji. He's an electrical engineer and he's working as a consultant at Fab Lab Al Ahsa too. And he's one of the authors, as you can see in the introduction page in here. And I'm Dawood Al-Battat. I'm a project manager at Fab Lab Al Ahsa, and I'm one of the authors and an electrical engineering too. So it's a pleasure to us to present this research paper to you. So I'll start by listing the outlines. We will go with the introduction first. We'll give you a brief about Al Ahsa city, the city where our Fab Lab is located, and then we'll talk about our Fab Lab just briefly, and then we will go to talk in details about our plan, and then we will conclude with the statistics, and it will be the conclusion. So first of all, where is our city located? Our city is in the eastern part of Saudi Arabia. It's around 430 kilometers away from the central part, from the capital. And it is listed in the UNESCO as a heritage site, and it is the world's largest desert oasis. It has more than 1 million tree ponds. So I'm hoping that this is encouraging you to visit our city one day. And it's also a city of crafts. It's a member of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network since 2015. So crafts is an essential and a very essential part of our culture in here in our city. And that's why recently a craftsman market has opened to give the craftsmen a space to sell their product and to market their product. And here comes the Digital Fabrication Lab. Our Fab Lab came to integrate with the craftsman in here because craftsman has always this concern that these machines will replace their role and they will not be able to work anymore. But we are in here to raise the awareness that digital fabrication is for everyone, even for craftsmen. We are hoping that we are going to help them to enhance and to develop their products. So our Fab Lab has opened since 2019, and we are the first and only Fab Lab until now in our city. So this is about the introduction of our Fab Lab and of our city. And now we will go into details about the long-term plan. And Mr. Ahmed Al-Haji will walk you through this details.
Good day, good night, everyone, wherever you are in the world. This is Ahmed Al-Haji. I'm a consultant of Fab Lab Al Ahsa. We will talk about the path through the long-term plan. First of all, why we need long-term plan. In fact, if we look at the success businesses, they are looking at the beginning. They have good plan for their businesses then, and that's drive through understanding their customer, their client, and they are building their plan based on this. From here, we decide in order to seeking the sustainability of our Fab Lab to have a long-term plan for the lab. And that's why we decide to have the long-term plan. And then we start by introducing the Fab Lab to the community. And that's one of the parts of understanding the community. We introduce the Fab Lab to the community since it's a new in terms of digital fabrication, digital machines and so on. By school visits or visits from around the oasis or anyone that interested in these digital fabrication. And from there, and since we are from this community, we identify that we need to identify the gap. And in general, people are as a three categories. We have doer, where they have instructions, they can do the instructions. We have thinker, they can do the instructions and they have an ideas, but they cannot do their ideas. They cannot implement their ideas. And we have a makers where they can do instructions, they have an ideas, and they can implement their ideas. We found that our gap is in our community is between thinker and makers. A lot of people, they visit us there, they have their own ideas from different ages, kids or young people or old guys. They have this gap They have an ideas, brilliant ideas, they cannot implement it. That's why we have this Fab Lab, and we build our plan to cover this gap. And from here, we start building our long-term plan. In fact, before we start preparing long-term plan, Fab Lab already started in 2019, and there's an activity and service already started at that time. So we don't want to cancel anything. So we start by categorize these services and activities. After that, we develop main paths in order to link these activities and services to the path. So from there, we have 4 main paths. ITHRA. ITHRA means in Arabic enhancement of knowledge. From here, we are trying to enrich our knowledge of the community by the Arabic language, because we have it's not like rich like other languages like English, for example. The second path is Tamkeen, where we have to raise up the skills of the community, where we have the workshops, we have other activities where we can skill up the community through Tamkeen. A project, we have 3 types of project. We have project support, where we can support the people with their ideas to build it up in the Fab Lab. We have Fab Lab projects, where we build a project inside the Fab Lab to inspire the community. And we have a Fab Lab community project, where we and our community work together in a public area to build up some projects. It's like Fab Lab, like Fab House or Fab Car in different locations in the world. They are doing this. We are planning to have this as well. The fourth path was there is the partnership. We have the internship, where we welcoming university schools or university students to be part of the Fab Lab as a program. And we have a partnership with other partners in the community, like groups and other. And we add 2 new paths. One of them is the R&D path, research and development, with 2 main parts under it, which is a research paper, and the goal is to have a research paper part of this, and developing projects and study that project to improve it. And this research paper is one of the results of this path. Last thing, we add Istidama. Istidama means this is sustainability in general, where we need to have a backup plan if our supplier has less resources, or maybe we would like to fund other projects, so we can fund ourselves by this path. And this is how we structure the roadmap at the beginning. In order to execute, we need first to effective testing the plan by having 1 quarter and enrich all the activities we are planning to have from all the paths, the main 4 paths, I mean, by having it in 1 quarter. So we improve this, we develop a plan for the 4th quarter in 2020. And here you can see the beneficiary of Fab Lab and the attendees of our workshop and activities in the last quarter in 2020 is equivalent to the whole year in 2019. And the details will be discussed by Dawood at the end of this presentation. After we successfully have this, we start building up and executing the plan in reality by the beginning of 2021. And we decide to have this with the operation excellence in order to make sure that we will be able to improve our operation, and we will reach to the sustainability we are looking for. And this the main part for the operation excellence by having a plan, doing the plan, checking the plan and how we are doing it, and at the end, adjusting the plan based on need. And we can see here, we break the parts and the paths in small parts to faster reach these items. We have a weekly meeting and monthly meeting, and every end of the quarter, we have a meeting to measure our performance and have a KPI to see if we are reaching our plan or not. And at the beginning of each quarter, we have a clear plan, what we'll have in details for this quarter, for the coming quarter. And this is repeatedly every quarter, every week, every month. And this help us to improve the performance so much. And one of the main part, after we checking, we have to adjust. And we, for example, changing some activities. And we have one of the examples that we start in ITHRA path, we start DIY project. DIY project was mainly to enhance or helping people to improve their ability to build up.
Ahmed
was two items.
Please, if I may, times is up, and we can read all the nice details about your project in the paper, which Cindy, thank you, linked to in the chat. So I think I need to sort of ask you to stop now with the presentation, so we got enough time for the other people in the call as well. Sorry about that interruption, Ahmed.
No problem at all.
I think you're doing great work there in trying to plan and measure what you're doing. So I really propose that take a look at the chat, take a look at the paper that's online, where everybody can read about those interesting details that we see flashing by in the presentation. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Dawood.
Thank you so much.
So if you might want to stop sharing your screen, Dawood, thank you very much. Nitin, you've rejoined the room. Are you able to present now? That's not a clear yes. So let me check. I think next up would be Aaron.
Yes, I'm here. I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for being here. Here, clear and loud.
Good, good. All right. Can I share my screen and we can make a start on this? I don't know.
Absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Whoa, this is difficult. Wait a minute.
Computer says no.
I'm here still. Wait a second. How do I do this? Crikey. I thought I knew how to do this.
Have you clicked on share screen?
I can click on share screen, but if I go to
it will show you some kind of selection of different programs or apps that you might have open.
Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about this.
No problem. So if it's PowerPoint, you will be able to see the success.
Here you go.
I think I've done it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay, so well, thank you for being here. Thank you for asking me to come. My name is Aaron Moore. I live and work in the United Kingdom, and I want to talk a little bit about a small study we undertook to see if taking part in digital fabrication has any effect on well-being, on people's well-being. I'm not a member of the Fab Lab community, but I do run training sessions on digital craft and fabrication, and I'm very interested in the whole movement, and I'm thrilled to be involved in this whole thing. So this is a picture of where I work. On the left is the main workshop. On the right is the converted shipping container that I use for digital training sessions. The workshop started out as a traditional joinery shop making furniture with an environmental focus. 10 years ago, I did an MA in environmental design where I became very interested in open source and distributed manufacture as a way of minimizing the impact of manufacturing on the environment. And to this end, I built a CNC router and later a laser cutter, which I used in the production of the work that I do in the workshop. About 5 years ago, I began running monthly makerspace sessions, making use of the router and the laser cutter and the 3D printers in my workshop, using a range of open source software. And these sessions were open to anybody in the community who wants to learn about digital crafts and fabrication at a minimum cost, or sometimes just a small donation. This is a fairly deprived area of the country where most employment is based on the seasonal tourist economy. And this is the only open access digital workshop for almost 100 miles. And that the aim of the Makerspace, my aim was to give people access to new technology, promote digital manufacturing and community resilience, and to give people the opportunity to exercise their creativity. So the motivation for the study came from the fact that the feedback from the Makerspace sessions was always very positive. Almost everybody who comes designs and makes something to take away with them, and they were always happier when they leave than when they came. A particular example arose when a father booked in to do a Makerspace session with his teenage son, wanting to improve their relationship, and they seemed to be getting along much better by the end of the session. As a result of these kind of observations, I began to think about the connection between well-being and the activities that I facilitated. There didn't seem to be any information about how well-being effects could be improved or promoted in the kind of workshops that I run. And so I contacted the local university, the University of Exeter, which had a SmartLine project, who were interested in looking into this further. SmartLine offer an innovative business support scheme called In Residence, where I was able to work with a number of experts in the field of, well, social sciences, I guess. Oh, I forgot to put the slide on, didn't I? Sorry about that. It's motivation. So that's the motivation for the study. The aims for the study, the main purpose was to try and quantify the well-being effects of participation in digital crafts, and also perhaps to see if any improvement in digital confidence could be achieved. We also hoped to look at improvements in employability, but the scale and duration of the study didn't allow us to do this. So the first thing we did was to do a bit of a literature study. Well, I didn't do it. Dr. Andrew Williams of the SmartLine project did the literature review, which revealed that there are lots of documents detailing the beneficial effects of traditional crafts, from basket making to embroidery and ceramics. And studies by the Craft Council in the UK have reported improvements in depression, anxiety, and loneliness. Studies by the Men's Shed organization have shown similar results.
Aaron?
Yes.
I just point out that we are viewing your slide number 2.
Oh.
Do you wish to be on a different slide?
I do, and I don't know why that is. I'm changing the slides now. Is it making any difference?
We only see slide 2.
Ah,
So the
Aaron,
one-
I think you're in presentation mode and we're not viewing your presentation. We're viewing the wrong window, basically. So we can see the slide deck, but we can't see the presentation. So if you just scroll through
Can I
scroll through that,
this?
it will be easier.
Okay, sorry about that. This is terrible.
No worries.
So we got to the literature review, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, now we see it. Thanks.
All right, sorry about that. So the literature review was done by Dr. Andrew Williams from the Smartline Project, and he found lots of information about traditional crafts, but very little on anything to do with digital fabrication. And this was, in my views, despite the fact that this would have additional gains of improved employability and the reduction of the digital divide that could be achieved. So, however, there was plenty of information detailing how to collect and quantify relevant quantitative data. So we set about trying to develop a methodology. We decided on using 2 discrete questionnaires, one before the session and one at the end. They had to be carefully designed to be easy and quick to use for a range of participants. Both questionnaires incorporated the Feeling Star, which is an easy to use visual method of data collection for both the participants and the researchers. And there's a drawing of the star on the right-hand side there. It has 6 outcomes, each scored out of 5. The outcomes are: I feel confident, I feel happy, I feel included, I feel skillful, I feel hopeful, and I feel healthy. There were a number of other questions in the questionnaire designed to give an understanding of participants' computer literacy and aptitude for creative activities and how they felt about the session. The data would then be collated in a spreadsheet and analysed by Dr. Williams later. So the data collection, the Smartline project funded a number of pilot sessions so that the methodology could be tested relatively quickly. For the pilot, we targeted 3 local organisations, a youth group, a women's group, and members of a scrap store. And participants from 3 makerspaces also took part. This resulted in 17 sets of data that showed that the method that we had devised worked. It also showed a definite improvement in well-being. And over the following 9 months, a further 31 sets of data was collected from makerspace sessions and training courses. And the results shown in this paper were gathered from a total of 48 subjects. And this is a kind of a graph that shows the results that we found. So there were improvements. The blue bars show the average scores before the session, and the red bars show the scores after the session. So you can see that the graph shows improvements in all 6 outcomes, and the largest increases are in feelings of confidence and skillfulness, which are consistent with the findings of the literature review. And this also included participants with low computer confidence, so their well-being improved as well. The sample size is very small and there is no control group, but there does seem to be a statistically and significant increase in well-being. Anecdotal evidence suggests that participating in these sessions has helped to make individuals and small businesses more productive. One participant reported to have secured a job as a result of attending a makerspace. So we come to the conclusions. The study clearly shows that participating in group digital fabrication sessions can be beneficial to individuals and the community. And it seems to me that there is an opportunity here for Fab Labs and makerspaces to get involved with social prescribing or non-clinical treatments for a range of mental health and well-being issues. This would increase income streams for the workshops and also free up valuable time and resources for health services. By taking a common international approach to collecting and evaluating the data, we could rapidly build the evidence base connecting digital crafts with well-being. And this evidence could be used to the benefit of Fab Labs, makerspaces, as well as the health service and the wider community. That's about it. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in the study and would like to know more, please get in touch. My email is there. And if you're interested in the SmartLine project, the email is at the bottom there. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And the link to your paper is, again, thank you, Cindy, in the chat window. Are there questions for Aaron? And by the way, thank you, Cindy and Andrew, for guiding Aaron through the technicalities of presenting on Zoom.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
I'm sorry to be asking a question again, but if I might go ahead. Aaron, thank you very much for your presentation. And I'm in the southwest of England myself today, so I'm excited to learn about your Fab Lab. I'm interested to know about whether you might have been able to do any comparison to men's sheds and the men's sheds movement here in the UK, in Australia, and the sort of social, the social benefits that they bring. I know that there's one nearby where I am in the southwest, but I don't know if there's any down where you are.
No, I mean, I haven't made any comparisons formally. We did in the literature review that Dr. Andrew Williams made. He looked at how they collected their information, and we used a lot of those methods in the way we collected our information.
Well, the fact you've used a similar methodology is a great thing for us to be able to then sort of compare that methodology. And I like the idea of social prescribing. I'd never thought about that before. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great question, Andrew. Thank you very much. And I guess now it's time to ask Vanessa if she would be ready to present her research. Vanessa, you're there in a internet cafe, in a coffee shop. You told us in the chat.
Hi, Peter. Hi. Hi, Cindy. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I am ready to present our paper. Let me share my screen. Please, could you confirm?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Hello. My name is Vanessa. I am from Peru, and I am presenting our paper about women in the Fab Lab ecosystem, 2018 and 2021, from Fab Academy to the Fab Lab Research Conference. This paper was working with my partner Pablo Herrera from the UPC, the University of Ciencias Aplicadas in Lima, Peru, and Macarena Valenzuela from Protein Lab, the Laboratory of Digital Fabrication in Chile. Okay. 1 second. Okay. We are researching in this paper the participation of women in the Fab Lab ecosystem. We investigate about what is the number of women every year and how is the participation and what is the question actually, because in the Fab Lab ecosystem are conducive of the integration of women in an interest in STEAM areas, enhancing opportunities in different areas of engineering and related disciplines. Our idea and our proposal is to relate Fab Academy activities and Fab Labs activities related with the STEM areas. And so for us, we are researching about what is the participation of women in the Fab Lab ecosystem. And it started from Fab Academy, because for us, Fab Academy is the the first integration to understand or to maybe to realize how the woman is growing every time to participate in the Fab Lab network. So it's so important to understand not only to participate making activities. So it's important to understand to participate maybe working in research papers, in Fab Lab research paper. And the idea for us is to make a map to understand every year how women is participating and what is the future of that. The first question was, why women live engineering? Why women is not participating like a normal equity in the Fab Lab network? What is the question? How we can to improve that? What is the importance to the participation of women in the community? And maybe we are relating with the 70 development goals in the United Nations in the number 5 goals to the equity to women and men. In that history of the research of the research and in education, the intention is to make that balance. And it's important to understand that we found 4 analysis of attitude about that kind of experience, why women is not participating in the Fab academic activities. The number 1, the number 8, it's the number 1, it's don't promote interpersonal ability. The number 2, it's art specialties dominated by men who work with machines. Number 3 is don't perceive technology and profession. And number 4 is their subjects are unappealing and or boring. And the background for us is to connect the technology with makers and fabbers. And it starts in the Fab Academy in the course of Neil Gershenfeld, how to make almost anything. In that course, they promoted the participation of women. In the first time, some women participated in that. And we introduced in this paper a lot of information about women participating in different activities, not only of Fab Labs, include maker spaces, hacker spaces, maker activities, magazine, Fab Academy graduation, Fab Academy project, etc. So the first investigation we did, it's about the annual evolution of Fab Academy graduated between 2009 and 2021. In this table, we can see how students are growing in the next 4 years when the Fab Academy started in 2009. And in the 2017, what's the most quantity of graduates in the Fab Lab Academy community. So we use that information to make how many women are participating in the Fab Academy. So in the same time, the Fab Lab research paper was in the similar situation. We established a table to understand how many papers are presented in along of the years to understand how many women are participating in Fab Lab research papers. So what is the importance of the role of the woman in the Fab Academy network and in the community of the Fabber and makers? For us, the most important thing is the management of STEAM practice. Like some projects we are considering as a good inspiration in the community. For example, Sherry Lasseter is the director, the manager of Fab Foundation. It's Norella in the communication of Fab Academy. It's Alexandra Diaz de Leon in Mexico, Fab Lab Kids program. Hilaria Laman in Hermosillo, in the Fab Academy, Anastasia and Cecilia. And in Wiki Factory 2 in Fab Lab Woman, it's Delia Barriga from Peru, and Poderosas in Spain with Nuria Robles. They are some power women to represent our community. Our methodology to present that paper was analyze the public information of graduates in Fab Academy, and an analysis of articles, authors, topic of each of the core papers of the Fab Lab research papers, and an analysis of Fab Academy notes, who promote and who participate in the Fab Academy every year, and that geographic representation. 3 annual reports from Fab Academy reveals the need of research, the presence of women in the Fab Lab ecosystem, and this defines the beginning of the future research to delve into the circumstances that will go beyond the statistic that we present. So the presence of women in Fab Academy is in this table. If you can see, the red line is the most participation of women in the community those years, in 2012 and 2015 and 2018. This is the presence of women in the Fab Academy, including the number of students for each year. Also, this is the presence of Fab Academy in the number of Fab Academy nodes. It's important to understand when you promote Fab Academy nodes who introduce digital fabrication courses in your country and your region, you have the opportunity to accept women in that kind of group. The presence of women in the Fab Academy, in this case, is the maximum number of women participated in the Fab Academy nodes. The presence of women in the Fab Lab research is the same situation, but in this case, we realize that there's more participation women in the Fab Lab research paper too in the Fab Academy courses. The first woman who participated and present a paper was Anna Woolman in the Fab Japan. Some discussion and conclusion is that we reveal the presence of women in 2 specific scenarios promoted by the Fab Foundation. In both contexts, the presence of women is fortuitous or accidental, but reveals some aspects that characterize the Fab Lab project-based learning model. It doesn't not differentiate gender, but enriches through imagination, play, sharing, experimentation, prototyping, socialization, and exchange in STEM. The problem-based learning model is projected to Fab Lab-based learning as an inclusive response that facilitates closing gender gaps in less than a decade. This is the goal. This is a map about the women in the Fab Academy. In this map, you can see women graduated by countries. And this is the map who women graduated in the USA by state, because in USA is the most quantity of women participated in the Fab Academy program. And we introduce some goals and ideas to present in this paper, because for us, it's so important to promote women participating in research and papers in Fab Academies, in Fab Labs, in maker spaces, and in projects, making writing a practice to not only promote the participation to the quality. We are thinking that women, it's so important to participate because it's a big impact in the network. Based on this analysis,
Vanessa, thank you so much. I'm sorry, okay. I need to cut you short there. Thank you.
It's almost finished. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for your contribution and for your view on women in Fab Academy and Fab Lab research. Thank you for making time tonight to present your research. And again, for everyone, the paper with more details can be found online. The link is in the chat. And I'd like to move on and check if Nitsan, you're there, and maybe you can come in and unmute and try to share your screen.
Yes, thank you very much, Peter. Let's try. Do you see my screen? I don't know if I can enlarge it. You see it?
I see it, and I see it's 1 of 39. So, you know, you've got 10 minutes. And okay. In the last minute, I'll put on that clock sound again to remind you that you need to wind up. So please take the stage.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. Apologies for the technical problems from my side. My name is Nitzan Cohen, and together with Pauline Alt and Sergio Yavuz from the Free University of Botti and Bolzano, we were working on this research and paper that I would like to present to you. It's called DIYR. DIYR Redefined, Exploring the Innovative Potential of Designing DIY Electronics. While incremental growth of electronic goods follows unsustainable production and use patterns dictated by the mass market, the democratization of technology and growing awareness, together with open design and distributed manufacturing, aim to reverse this tendency, bring transparency to the black boxes and shift the power back to a well-informed consumer. The DIY research project is rooted in those principles and strive to formulate answers to the following questions. In what ways could design-driven artifacts serve as sustainable catalysts for DIY, the maker world, and industry? As the form follows function dogma on all its positive values hardly exists in electronic artifacts, what are possible alternatives DIY electronics could offer in changing that? Could design-driven innovation give new sense to distributed manufacturing, Fab Labs as viable local production, or possibly production support hubs? Sorry. How is DIY defined? The term DIY is a formula. Every time you do a certain it by yourself, it is a DIY. In the past, almost everything was done by ourselves. Therefore, there was no special term for it. The term DIY is a recent one and in common use since the 1950s. DIY could now be seen as bringing back possibilities that we had, but seem to have lost and are now being rediscovered. Depending on the experience of doing, the impact on the self is either positive or negative. But either case, the key aspects of DIY are the you, your, and the self. Either the approach of do it yourself or the concept of do it together sustainably form and affect both producers and consumers. As coined by Toffler in 1980, the so-called prosumers, outlining the consumers being producers for their own consumption. Prosuming is not an isolated individual activity, but is rather based on networks and sharing. With the development and democratization of digital technologies, such as the Arduino platform, the DIY movement has gained a different dimension, embracing also technological devices. Yet observing what is often produced in some digital production centers leads to critically acknowledging a gap between the innovative potential and the reality of environmentally and conceptually questionable artifacts, highlighting a lack in qualitative a possible lack in qualitative orientation and a genuine content. To leverage this potential of Fab Labs, a design-driven approach can bring meaning making, as Vaganti put it, into the actual making process. Openness has the potential to counteract the unsustainable consumption boosting methods of industry. Nowadays, the problematic conjuncture of planned obsolescence is to be found in all areas and markets, yet is on an alarming constant rise in the area of electronic appliances. Shifting from short-lived closed boxes to transparency and care, a revised logic behind electronic devices can help going beyond the planned obsolescence towards a system of products in which new values for longevity are embedded through user engagement in the making and the maintaining process. DIYR is a design research project that develops new recipes for self-produced electronic products. It aims at generating an alternative concept that empowers users and incorporates educational values. Raising awareness for the so-called second life recycling of batteries. Generating new locally oriented production perspectives in which the user is encouraged and empowered to become a producer. Forming new benchmark for maker projects where form, function, and logic are woven together into new typologies, aesthetics, and an aware production and use. And finally, developing a growing family of DIY products, which through strong identity and distinct communication would form a new brand of DIY electrical appliances. DIYR design process principles. Key aspects in the development of each DIYR projects are resorting the existing, research into technology, redefining content container relationship based on the two above, and then for all those altogether, searching for new aesthetics. And finally, rethinking the making, as in making the DIY instructions. With its sustainability-oriented blueprint based on true on-demand diffuse manufacturing principles with high producer involvement, the DIYR project is basing its products on second life batteries directly retrieved by its users. According to the US National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, finding secondary use for batteries after their initial application, is one of the most effective ways of prolonging their life while also increasing their value. Here are the DIYR BM battery modules based on second life batteries. Here, a Bluetooth loudspeaker is part of the ecosystem around the BM battery modules. And as well, the DIYR e-board as another example for the diversity of this ecosystem, or the potential diversity, while emphasizing the potential high performance and high power of it. DIYR is a context-dependent research starting from a pilot context at the BITS City Fab Lab of the Free University of Bozen in Bolzano. It expands its field of action with the international network of Fab Labs collaborating on the project. Okay, I will just jump to the end. As final reflections, if I may, through the doing by ourselves, the project aims as well at reaching higher emotional values for its products and integrating a different relation to them, thus evoking a will to sustain them with more awareness and care, driven by one's emotional values rather than plain economical one. This perspective shift could further lead to a more conscious manner of dealing with all that surrounds us, from products to resources or nature at large. Two more, if I may, furthermore, by doing ourselves, we become more informed about the product, its function, and its component, and its sourcing. Thus, repairing when needed becomes an integral part of the making. Repairing and the repair culture and all its positive values are here an integral part of the project's DNA and a key aspect to any sustainable future product scenario. I'll just finish with those small images. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitzan, for this performance and for your insights. Interesting approach there for reusing batteries. As always, the link to your paper with more details in it actually is in the chat window, so please do consult this paper. The email of the authors is obviously in the paper, so if you want to connect to Nitzan and his colleagues on this project, please do so. We're homing into the last presentation of this hour. sort of taken up the thread that Vanessa started with women in Fab Lab, and we've got Andrea here to talk about her paper. She just joined Adriana, she just joined us from another session. So Adriana, please go ahead, take over the screen, and we're looking forward to your presentation. As always, 10 minutes, and 1 minute before we end, I'm gonna put on the clock.
Thank you, Peter. We are here with Marion Real, Anastasia Pistofido, and Anna Seshik, Shannon Checks, and Jesse March. So the authors of the paper, Marion will start sharing the screen. Sorry. Yeah, so our paper is the Innovation Ecosystem for Women Makers through Textile Labs and She Makes EU approach. Next one. So She Makes is a project that starts in January around the topic Science with and for Society, that promotes and highlights and celebrates the role of women. So we are empowering future female innovators of the sustainable fashion industry through inspirations, skill, and networks. So we are a group of 6 labs in Europe, and we Fab Lab Leon, EIAC, TCVL, On La Fève, Flood, Redu, and Matrix, and we will expect to expand through 12 other labs around the world. And our project She Makes is based on 2 parts, as we know that Europe, we have a very excellent, a lot of excellence prizes, but unfortunately not very successful. In a sense, we want to go and through the approach of Fab Labs, Fabric Academy, and TCVL, we want She Makes is focused on STEAM education, applied science, and with the goal that more women are participating in mainstream economy and business innovation. So the model of She Makes is dividing on 4 topics around fashion tech, sustainability, entrepreneurship, and Industry 4.0 that is connected closely with the topics as I mentioned. So Fabric Academy and TCVL, who is promoting TCVL is Textile and Clothing Business Labs, which are promoting the that also more labs specialized for textile industry works together in this area and first time, and or let's say together with the She Makes working together. So next one. So how we start this process and how we start understanding the innovation ecosystems. We thought about the context and understand the situation of the gender gap, the mapping of She Makes innovation ecosystem, design interventions, and after the reflections and lessons learned around the Make-A movement and women in the Make-A movement. And especially in this part, we start to understand also what exactly which topics plays a role in the interaction between Make-A movement, science, technology, and innovation, and especially what it brings the textile and clothing industry to understand the gender gap, the opportunities, and also the relationship in between inclusion, fair power relationships, participation, and salary equality. And especially one of the points were to understand what is the relationship in between textiles, science, technology, and innovation. In a sense, why, for example, through programs as Fab Academy, we start to see that many more of the 130 women participating in this program. Why is the interest? So we see that the textiles are one of the parts of the ADN of the woman in technology, and how they start to participate in the very beginning the story in a sense in the textiles, and also be this fine work that brings textile, and also what it mean for the development of the technology itself, communications, and also science. So another aspect is actually the textile and gender gap, in which today we have more than 70% of the women in textile industry, but actually not all of them are well in positions of innovation, and this is something that we have to work and empower more women in management roles. And what is bringing new perspectives in textile industry, and in new social and environmental empowerment, as is seen and as we will see through the paper, that more women have more awareness around the topic of sustainability. So you can go to the next. Another very important point about the Make a movement is that through many initiatives around wearables, and also not only about textiles, but now it plays today a role in STEAM education, and how we could understand this inclusiveness, understanding how more engineering, more women can also work, empowering groups of women participating in new initiatives as Fab Woman, as Poderosas, that are movements that are empowering today, that are part of our Fab network. Yeah, you can go to the next. So we, but for then we start also to understand what we can bring, how we can bring innovation ecosystem for women in through the ecosystem of She Makes, understanding several points around not only the goal of innovation and connecting these two already ecosystems, but also understanding what brings also what of the problematics of the woman are presenting through this market. So we can that it's illustrating this in this map. So you can go to the next. So we start collaborating and understanding which methods use in a lab, and how what you are looking here is like still a live map that we are building around several projects and several of the points and interactions that we are connecting through this ecosystem. So you can go to the next. And I will give the voice to my colleague Mario.
Yeah, do you hear me? It's okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm finishing the presentation. So with this big mapping, after we have designed some intervention and the three type of intervention that were done during the project, and it's still happening. So we are learning from for what's happening in the first month of the project. The first one is to think about how to to diversify the learning path of the Fabric Academy and all the related programs to different ages. So we have program for kids, the Curiosity one. There was also a program in collaboration with university and schools. And also we address in the innovation path, talking with different alumni of Fabric Academy and also different companies to see what kind of module we can put in practice. The second one is about innovative policy. I will go super fast. The last one is to promote role model and women. So we have identified guru, ambassador, and there is like a big community of women helping each other and learning from each other, trying to share and to give trust and confidence to each other. And after we have a list of this reflection, you can see it on the paper. Just maybe to finish, there is another session about the SHIMEC project on Thursday, 7:30. We invite all of you, women or not, to participate and to be involved. There is possibility for new labs to be involved in the SHIMEC project. So yeah, you have all the link on the presentation and on the paper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marion. Thank you so much, Adriana. And indeed, there are strictly do's and strictly don'ts, which you can read in the paper, suggestions and further collective actions that we as a network could undertake to foster women participation in our activities. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to draw the session to a close. Thank you everybody for being here. It was quite a marathon, and technology was not always our friend, but we've seen worse today. So thank you all, we did well. For those interested, there will be another paper session tomorrow. There will be a last paper session on Thursday. And during the FAB TV, another marathon, which we're looking forward to, there will be also another kind of paper session. We've got 1 hour in there to particularly discuss the outcomes of the research that's presented here. And we're also going to award the best paper awards for the FAB research papers this year. Cindy, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not. I'm just impressed with your excellent sharing, which means that we end precisely at the hour, which is 10 p.m. my time. Well done, Peter. Well done. Fantastic papers. So interesting. Please do go and read them. Questions and answers also among the authors and audience could happen in the research papers channel in Discord.
Thank you all. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.